Hi, Guido Fox here. Welcome by a new book report. Today I want to discuss with you this book, The Psychological Aspects of the Organization. A very interesting book about management, organization structures, leadership, and employers. Probably you work or you worked in an organization and then there comes all problems, right? And impressions of the organization, where you work, what kind of organization it is, what kind of struggles there are. Probably there are also things you don't like about the organization, or you don't like some people in the organization, you don't like your colleagues at all those kind of things coming into your life. If you're free of the university, probably you lock yourself up in an organization and you see organizations in your life, or you start for yourself and you make your own organization. Or what I do is work totally for myself. So I have an organization without colleagues, of course, people who support me. But everyone in his life has to deal or deal with organizations. And that brings me on the following first topic is on page 11, mentions of this book. Page 11 is that in every organization, people deal with power and conflict. First, power. Everyone wants to get higher up in the organization, or if someone's not good enough, he pretends that he don't want to get higher in the organization, or he don't give a shit about it. But the most people, and actually everyone, wants to get higher in organizations. So there is already hidden conflict in an organization, because everyone wants to get a higher position, everyone wants to get more money, everyone wants to take more money to invest in her or his children, that they have a good school and good books and nice holidays. So everyone wants to have more money, and the only way to get there is become higher in an organization. So that brings me by a very important point in an organization, is that your colleague is also your competitor, is also competition for you. And that can disturb, of course, the goal and the long-term perspective of the organization. So we are in a hierarchy model. What can disturb your mood, can disturb the feelings of trust, because your colleague is in competition for yourself, and then it is hidden. It is underlying competition, because everyone in the organization does friendly to each other, wants to have more friends in the organization, doing social power there. Because if you have a lot of friends, you can go higher in the hierarchy of the organization. So also to make friends can make from a false motive, from a false perspective, from a false being, to be friendly and be social, because you profit from that. So you do it with a reason. You become social in the organization with an underlying reason. So this all things what can happen in an organization. There are only a few organizations who people are doing just their job without any intentions to go higher, to have the more money, to have the higher position. Everyone is nearly in this mediocre matrix rat race. And that has to be understood if you step in an organization that this kind of powers are there. Because then you know how to deal with it. And then you know why people are doing this kind of behavioral patterns, right? So one thing in an organization is power. People wants to have power, you have to deal with power because people live in a hierarchy model. I'm not discuss with you how I want to see it then in another way. I just mentioned what you can expect as an employee if you start your own organization, if you come in a big organization or whatever. Second thing is conflict. People have conflicts in their family, with their husbands, with their wives, and they bring those tensions in the organization. So external conflicts always come also internally in the organization. So if you don't sleep because you had a fight with your wife, you bring that tiredness and you can become conflictuous in the organization with your colleagues, with your bosses, and that creates tensions, right? Thereby, the conflicts always also deal with the positions there. Who is better than the other colleagues? Who is doing a better job? Who has more education? Who has more studies? Who is the boss in that kind of model? So there is also conflict, tensions, what I just mentioned to you. So that's also what we see in organization is the power and conflict model, and mostly they're hidden. They're hidden in the organization. They're underlying moods, tensions, what is not speaking out, because you have also the social trap of being nice to each other because you don't want to lose friends, because you want to go higher in the hierarchy, right? And also the conflicts are a little bit hidden because you don't want to lose friends there. The conflicts for your family or your wife or your fights home, you don't want to bring that too much in the organization. So hidden tensions are a lot of times in organizations. That's what the writer Ten Horn was telling to us in his book, 300 pages book of psychology and organizations. That brings me to the next topic, and that's about that 7% from all the people in the organization are doing nothing. They're nearly doing nothing. 7% from the people in the organization are doing nothing, or they pretend that they're doing something. That's very interesting, right? A lot of people are saying, "Oh, I'm so busy, I'm busy." Okay, you cannot plan A, and B, probably you pretend that you're busy, but actually you have no work because you get no work. So the people who are doing nothing is a disturbing factor because they don't make income for the organization. Other thing is they can annoying and they're bored, so they go into the coffee corner and talk to everyone and complain. So that 7% people who are really doing nothing in the organization can be a disturbing factor for the rest of the people in the organization. So look good at that 7%, or maybe you are the one who pretend who is very busy and doing nothing. Find another job, right? Find another job. And you have people who are not annoying other people, but they lock themselves up in their room and say that they're busy and doing nothing, and they are not annoying to the employees in their surroundings, but they are actually a jealous object, a jealous subject, because people become jealous on these people in the organization. So that's what you see. You see that the people are saying, hey, this guy is locked himself up, he's not showing himself in conversations or social activities, so he's not going with us, and he is locking himself, he, she is locking himself up in a room, and people are gossiping about that woman or guy and become jealous because they're so busy and this guy is chilling around in his room. So that's also a type of employees what you see, who are really doing nothing in the organization. So from the power and conflict in the organization and the don't do anything people, I want to go further in some troubles in the organization, and that is boredom. A lot of people are bored in the organization. They don't tell it to you, but boredom with task, or they don't find a job interested enough, creates a lot of tensions and energy leakage for that person. So boredom is also very interesting phenomenon, and it creates also bore out. Bore out is a new burnout. The coming years and decades, you see more bore outs than burnouts, I have the feeling. So bore outs will be more important to mention in my videos about personal development and life coaching. What we see is that you can avoid boredom to give the guy or the girl more task, so more diversity in tasks, and also more deeper knowledge, deeper into different tasks. So if people are bored, give them not more work, not only more work, but give them also deeper work. So more intellectual, challenging work or problem-solving activities to stimulate this guy or girl, right? To stimulate this guy or girl, and he creates more energy and is better for the organization. So more deeper work, more work, and also what he mentioned on page 58 is more relation in the work, right? We are sitting in departments in organization, but let's do every Friday, once in a week or once in 2 weeks, we change from department with other people, other knowledge, other tasks, and we create some more dynamic in the organization to stimulate the overall energy in the organization, but also to avoid boredom. So 3 things interesting about boredom: deeper work, more variation, and also relation from people and departments can really affect your company, can really create a better healthy environment. And that brings me another time to Karl Marx, and that's the interesting socialistic guy. I'm not really a socialistic guy, but he said something interesting, and it's about the alienation of human capital. And Karl Marx said that nowadays people are stuck in specialization, and that leads that you're doing only a small part of the product in a big process. So you have a process in an organization and you do only a small thing, and that makes you empty, that makes you senseless, that creates an alienation, an awareness for yourself, and also awareness to the other person. So it is a kind of isolation process. I mean, specialization brings us welfare. Don't misunderstood my point there. So specialization is good because we divide everything and everyone can create high quality of his specialization. But it is also a downside, and that is that the bakery guy is making his bread in the kitchen, in the heater. He is cleaning his own bakery. He is serving the people. He is serving the bread, the tea, and the lunch and the breakfast. And the bakery is doing his own administration and is fully in a multi-diverse work-related task. And that makes him happy. This bakery guy is such a happy guy. So his specialization cost not a trade-off with happiness, right? So this bakery guy is more happy than the specialist banker on a specialist financial product that he's doing, and is not aware what's going on in the whole organization. And the whole society is related also with the whole organization. So how you can be in a society if you're not fully whole in your organization. So that's what you see, specialization versus doing multi-people things in the organization. So that's the critical point of Marx, is that we are more fixed in a specialist mindset, and that it's not create the mental healthiness for yourself, and also the responsibility to be part of the society is less. You become more childness. That's what Marx also was saying. You create a childness society because the bakery guy is baking his bread. Responsibility is taking care of his clients. Responsibility is taking care of his administration. Responsibility, so related with tax authorities, related with social authorities, the clients, related with the bakery, the product itself. So you see there much more responsibility. Self-ownership creates more mentality, creates more responsibility, and therefore also more happiness, because you're fully responsible for your life. And child is a child, and a child cannot grow to adultness if you're so specialist in your whole life. Yeah, that's what Marx was his critics about some things what's going on in organization where people are going in specialist fields and they lock themselves in their room and have an isolated work life. And you have to be care about that you're not becoming an isolated guy who is social inappropriate to function in this world. And that's also what Durkheim, the philosopher Durkheim, was saying on page 106, is the individualism nowadays. Everyone is for himself, herself, their own job, their own money, and going for herself, some ego-minded society where there's no place for more broaden, widening aspects with the whole organization. A kind of attachment to other people in the organization, also attachment to the organization as a whole functioning aspect. So that's interesting, right? The philosophers a little bit, Karl, Marx, Durkheim, and the power and conflicts and the boredom things in organization and the specialization. I talked already about you. The bore out is the new burnout, but we still have the burnouts. That's too much stress, always busy, always busy. So 7% of the people in the organization are not busy at all, but 93% of the people are constantly hitting from upper levels targets, targets, targets to become more busy. And that's not only the intellectual aspects there, the stress and knowledge. We are talk about later about you. We are now knowledge people. We're not doing things with our hands anymore. We're not gardeners anymore. We are not a lot of time we're doing things with our hands, but we're doing things with our minds. So that's the new world. The new world is in the information industry. So your job is to get information in your mind and to transfer that information into products and bring it to the clients. What we see is also the emotional tensions in the organization. What's very interesting by burnout aspects is that there's also burnouts related emotional things. So the talks of your colleagues, the problems, what were discussed, the external tension where talked about it, the fights in the families are bringing to the office. So you also feel the negative energies of people, and that brings also emotional tensions. So the burnout is really fire, right? You fire up, your fire is gone, you burn out, you're out, your fire is out. It's close by depression, but it's also related because of the emotional tensions you pick from your colleagues, from the people in your surroundings. Those tensions are also can be affected, especially by highly sensitive people, can affect it in the burnout. So that's what you also see, the emotional and intellectual tensions. Emotional, intellectual, because we are an information industry. How more information you have, how more money you can earn, how more transfer. So we're living in a more information industry than really doing things with our hands. So burnout is also recovery time, and that's what the most people are not doing. They don't walk 4, 5, 6 hours in the forest. We also walk 15 minutes lunch walk, or we coming home and we do walking the dog outside, and that's always half an hour or 15 minutes, right? But really 6, 7 hours walking in the forest to adapt that information, to recover from that information is very, very good for your burnout. Also the waves, also the trees, the green trees, the blades are good for your mental health, because green is a beautiful color, is an anti-depressiveness color. So you can really recover from long walks in the forest. And that's page 209. I want to talk a little about task identity, and that's that you're fully identified with your task, and that's also your being. So watch out for that. You're not your task, you're not your subtlety guy or women on the office. No, you're really in person, and you're doing that thing in the 40 to 60 hours of the week, but you're not your work, right? Not identify with your work. And what he was saying on page 209 is that change in work is important. Some self-independency, that you have your own responsibility, is important. Also to get the right feedback. Feedback is an interesting phenomenon. I wrote also an article about my website, but feedback is interesting. You have to get feedback to grow, to become better, to get more value, to create a kind of social construct there, and also become more happy in your work, in your life, to improve your work. So you get feedback from your colleagues or from the people above you to feel more better and healthy in the organization. And that is more Karl Marx related, is that your really task identity is only that you're doing your task and nothing more. So there's no bonding with the overall organization. That brings me to the last point. The last point of this book is page 122, and that's the golden cage phenomenon. The golden cage phenomenon is that people are stuck in their office because they grow in the office, they make social relations there, they get some knowledge there in those years, and they're stuck because they have a high salary and they cannot step out the golden cage. And that's interesting because that brings tensions and hate, love, tensions towards the organization, because you cannot step out, because if you move to another organization, probably you start lower on the rung, on the ladder, and you have to make new friends there, and you have to get up the new system there. So mostly you start lower there in organizations. Sometimes if you're really, really good, you get hired, right? There's an exemption, I think. But nowadays, if you start an organization, you got up connections there, and you're stuck because you cannot do something else. That's what I saw in the organization. A lot of people cannot do something else. They're stuck in their field of knowledge. They cannot do anything else because they have a house rent and they have to go from 8K to 2K or another job. So they're stuck in the matrix. They're stuck in their field of knowledge. They're stuck in an organization and they can't step out, and it brings tensions in the organization. So that's the golden cage phenomenon in an organization, and be aware of that. And that's an interesting phenomenon to know. And also that brings, of course, more unhappiness in your work situation and your family situation, because you bring your work also home. And that's you have to think about that, right? So the golden cage phenomenon was also interesting to mention in this book about the psychological aspects of the organization. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like, comment, everything. And I see you by the next book report. Bye bye.